Right, I think it's 4 o'clock, so we'll start. So welcome everyone. By default, I'm going to mute you all. But if you do want to ask a question as I'm going along, just you can unmute yourself and ask, that's fine. Or you can put it in the chat, because last week we got some questions and I'll pile through those probably at the end, if there's any appropriate to me. Same as last week, I'm going to email you out the slides that I'm going to show you. There's not many today. Because mostly today I'm going to show you some stuff on how to build stuff, and then I will email out the video recording. So I'm recording this, and I'll email you that out later. Cool. Right. So let's start. So can everyone see my screen? Just thumbs up if you can. Is that okay? Great stuff. Okay. So last week we looked at introduction to the block editor. If anyone wasn't around last week and they want to see that video, I put it on the website at poodlepress.com/Gutenberg. So you can go and check out and see last week's recording if you want to, and also the slides from last week as well. And that's where these will go as well. So this is the agenda for what we're going to look at, but we're going to focus really on page layout. So I've built a whole bunch of hopefully interesting page layouts that I prepped, and then I'm going to show you how I built them. Some using just the core block editor with no plugins whatsoever, and then a few with some plugins as well for some more advanced stuff. So hopefully you'll find some inspiration in what I show you. I'm just showing you like a really sort of sneak peek of what's possible with the block editor. Okay, so hopefully this will give you some idea of the type of thing you can do. But I'm also going to show you the ways you can tweak with the block editor. So if you want to take things a little bit further, there's some simple ways you can do that. There are some plugins that I'm going to recommend, and there's some really useful tools, 3 in particular, that I'm going to show you, which will help you when you're researching what blocks you can use, and some other cool stuff. So that's what we're going to cover. It's going to be about 45 minutes here or there, and then we can have some questions as well. And then, sorry, the next week's webinar is specifically on WooCommerce. So if you're interested in e-commerce, next week's a good one to come to. Right, so just to recap, December 2018, WordPress version 5 was released, and it included a brand new editor called the block editor, often referred to as Gutenberg. So you might hear those two terms interchange. And at the moment, blocks can be mixed and matched to customize the content of any page or post, or product actually. We have a plugin that lets you do it on products. So that's where we're at the moment in terms of the block editor. Where it's going is that the path for Gutenberg is it's going to be used for full site editing. So that's really very exciting. Right, so I'm going to show you some page layouts that I've built, and then I'm going to show you how I built them. So hopefully this will be fun. So let me just show you these. So this is the site where I built them. I'll give you a quick snippet, a quick preview of what I'm going to show you how to build. So this is one I've called boxes. So you can create this nice sort of box layout if you want boxes with a heading and a subtitle and a call to action button on it. And then we've got a background image behind it. So that's the first one I'm going to show you. Then I'm going to move on and show you this. So we've got these big banner images on your site, which are very popular these days, where you can add a heading and call to actions on them. And you'll see as I scroll up on this one, this one's got a sort of parallax effect. So it does this nice reveal as you scroll up, where it shows stuff beneath it. Okay, so that's the next one I'm going to show you how I did. Testimonials is a very common thing that people want to do on their sites. There's a number of ways that you can do testimonials. I'm going to show you a few today. This is an example of, I think it's quite a nice one, where you have the person's image behind the text block, arranged in boxes, and then a little photo underneath, and their testimonial in it. And then if I scroll down, you'll see we've got this moving testimonial here. Okay, which some people absolutely love, moving testimonials. And then again, we've got another version that I built, just a more simple one. Okay, so I'll show you how I built those. We're also going to look at simple ways that you can, this is a bit extreme, where you can further customize the block editor with some simple CSS. So CSS is cascading style sheets, which is code basically. It's the styling code that the block editor, you can utilize in the block editor. So the good news is you don't have to learn it, but I'm going to show you how you can utilize it to do some quite whizzy stuff. So on this page, you see I've got this crazy neon effect on this text here. It's just text though, it's not a graphic, it's text that I've applied this effect to. And then you can do other more sort of subtle things. Down here, we've got 2 buttons. Can you see how this right-hand button has got a little drop shadow on it, whereas this one doesn't? Okay, and again, that's just a simple bit of CSS, which you can generate without learning it, but I'll show you how you actually apply it to your stuff. And then further on down the page, I've just got some other examples. You see how these photos, these are just images, but you see how these photos, again, have got this nice drop shadow behind it. So if you want to make stuff, pop, or you want to tweak it slightly, you can do it. There's a few more examples down here. And I think at the bottom, we've got another one. See, I've just got this sort of basic frame around it. Okay, again, you can do all that stuff pretty simply. And I'll show you how you can apply that on your own sites. This is quite cool. So this is where I get this question asked quite a lot, where you've got a long page of stuff, but you want to have anchors within your pages. So when somebody scrolls on one of these headings, it just naturally takes them down to that section. And the new block editor then makes that really easy to do. Okay, it can be really useful for you, a nice way to make your content easier for your readers to access. And I'll show you how to do that. And the block editor, as I say, makes it easier. Then we've got this media and text one. So this is a core block in the block editor, and it lets you create these nice sort of grids where you've got text and an image beside it. Okay, and then we're going to go more advanced. So we're going to look at grids. So this is a grid, the media and text one, but this is a basic one. You can get really fancy. So this is an example of a fancy one. This is using a plugin, one of our plugins. So you can do some really complex grids if that's something you want to do. And again, you can you can't really tell here, but these have all got an overlay color on them to make the text pop a bit more. So you can do all sorts of whizzy stuff with these grids. So I'll just show you how I built that. I think this is really exciting. This is shapes. So if you want to do nice shape transitions within your pages, that's really easy now in the block editor. So this page has a few examples of this. And again, this is using a plugin of ours. This is a shape divider block though. So this page is just built using blocks. And then if I scroll down, you can see it's got this nice shape down here. So orange isn't very subtle, but you can create these really nice, elegant, subtle transitions within your pages quite easily. And then if I scroll down, you'll see we've got some different shapes. So it can really sort of pick out your text quite nicely. And this is kind of cute. You can also set these shapes to appear over things. So in this case, we've got a white shape, wavy shape appearing over this photo. So this photo isn't shaped like this. The shape is actually appearing over it, and you can create these really beautiful transitions, especially when you can combine them with like this parallax background. And this doesn't take long to do, as you'll see. It's pretty quick stuff. And then if I scroll down, you'll see I've got another one underneath. I think this is really cute, the way that tree kind of reveals itself. And you can also do shapes over the block before them as well, like this example. This shape is actually appearing over this photo here. So I'll show you how I built that. One of the nice things about the block editor is that you can, if you want to, you can further customize your blog pages. So here's an example of one I built, where you've got an introduction to the blog page. And then if I scroll down, you'll see I've actually got the posts coming in as this nice grid. So all possible with the block editor. I'll show you how I built that. Galleries, very common request. So things like this, whizzy stuff like this you can do very easily if galleries are your bag. And then down here we've got this nice masonry gallery. And then to finish off, I'm just going to show you quickly this, which I kind of previewed last week, I think, which is you can do, and this is bleeding edge at the moment. This is a plugin we're developing, but you can create these really complex grid overlays. This isn't released yet, but I'll show you quickly at the end of the session today because it's kind of fun. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do. I haven't got long actually. So does that sound okay, everyone? Great stuff. Okay, let's crack on. So we're going to start with this one, boxes, and let's go behind the scenes. So I just show you quickly how I did it, and then I'll actually build it again just so you can see how I did it, because that might give you some helpful tips on how to do this stuff. So if I go edit page here, you will see, once this loads up, that this is just consisting of, let's go here. Now these 3 lines up here are going to be your friend when you're building any kind of complex layouts, because as I mentioned last week, one of the issues when you're working in the block editor is that you can often have blocks within blocks. So you want to make sure you're working at the right level. This will tell you that. So you can see here, I know that the top level is actually the column block. Okay, so this layout here is built using 3 columns, and then if I click in each one, you'll see I've just added a cover block, and that tells me this over here within each of those columns that I built. So I've got a cover block within the columns, and then within the cover, I've got a heading, a paragraph, and a button. Simple as that. Okay, so it's pretty quick to do. Let me do it so you can see how I did it. So I'm going to go add new page. This is all live and dangerously live. So let's go, let's call it boxes 2. So I'm going to start by adding a column block here, which I'll click on. And I'm going to choose, now you don't get a 3-column layout to start with. So you add 2, and then when you click on the cover block up here, the column block, can you see over here, you can change it to 3 columns. So that gives me my grid layout. So we're okay at the moment. Click back here. And then within each of these, I'm just going to add a cover block. So I've got it here, but you could search for it. So let's add the cover block in there. Now you get the choice with the cover block to add a photo or a color, or both actually. So I'm going to choose a photo. Let's choose a photo here. There's my photo. This is my, let's just go back here. This is my heading. Okay. Now the other cute thing that you can do with the cover block is, as I said, you can add an overlay color. And again, make sure you're actually working on the cover block. You know you're actually working on the cover block, because if you click in here, you won't see any of the options for the cover block, because we're actually within the paragraph block, because that's one of the blocks within the cover block. So make sure you're within the cover block. And then over here, you can see you can set an overlay color, and then you can change the opacity of that overlay color. So that's all I did on this one here. And then I just added some text in. Just grab some text here underneath. So to add a block, I'm just going to hit return and add the text. And then finally under here, I added a button. Now, top tip on this, you can either click on this little plus sign here, or you can hit / and then button. That's a quick way to find your blocks. Okay, so that's the one I want. And then, I can't remember what I said on the button. Just reblock. That's my button. Okay. And then finally, what we want to do on this block is we want to, where are we, buttons? We want to center that. And then over here, within that button, I'm going to just give it a little radius here. Okay, so we're kind of recreating that pretty accurately. Now, all you do then is repeat that exercise 3 times. A quick way for you to work those, just duplicate it. And then let's try if this works, and then just move it across. So that's kind of going to save your time and effort when you're creating these. You can just duplicate them. Again, make sure you're working at the right level. And then you can use this little draggy thing here just to move it across. And then you just go into each one. Changes like this. Again, if I want to replace this image, just click replace here. Let's choose that one. Okay, and repeat, repeat, repeat. And again, if you want to change the overlay color, click on the cover block, change the color. All good? Make sense? Happy days, that seemed to work. Great, so that's the first one. Let's go on to this one. So this is where we've got this nice big banners. And again, this is pretty similar actually. So we're going to use the cover block, but we're not going to put it in columns for this. Now we've got this nice reveal on it, and we've got 2 buttons in each. So we're going to recreate this one. Let's go add new page. Let's call it banner. So all we're going to do is add the cover block. Let's choose a photo. Okay. This is your heading. This is your subtext, subtitle. Okay, and then again, you could center this if you wanted to. You can play with the formatting or not. And then underneath this, I'm just going to put the buttons again. I'll just add 1 button for speed now, but you could add further buttons in here. Now, to align the buttons, we covered this briefly last week. You just need to make sure you're selecting the top level buttons block here. Because if you select this one, you won't see the align options, because again, you can have nested buttons within buttons. So I'm going to select that one, and now I can align it over here. Okay, now the other thing we need to do on this one is we need to select this full width option. So because now you won't see this, but when I publish it and go and visit the site, can you see how it's now stretching right the way across? I need to center this text. Okay, let me just center that text. And then the other thing we're going to do is just change the height slightly just by dragging this little blue dot around. Again, you can see the height over here on the right. So if you want to be really precise with your height, you can just type in the pixel height over here. Now, by default, the cover block will have an opacity applied to it, which you'll find down here. You'll see it's pretty dark to start with, but you can play with that. You can adjust it here. And again, if you wanted to, you could add an overlay color. The button won't appear centered at the moment, but it will when we publish it. And then the only thing that I did to this is I made it a parallax background. So just make sure you're on the cover block. And then the option we're after here is fixed background. That's the option we want. And when we select that, you can see when I scroll, the image is static behind it, but the text flows over the top of it. So you get this nice little reveal. Okay. And then all I did really was with this was to duplicate it. So we've created 2 of them now. And then again, we'll just go in and replace the image for that tree. That should be pretty much where we want it. See how we've got those 2 nice blocks now. Got that really nice effect. So it doesn't take very long, this stuff. Right, so that's that nice banner effect that you can get. It really helps with these second photos if they do this kind of reveal, where you'll, as the users scroll up, they show something. But that depends on your photos. Right, next one is testimonials. So again, you can probably guess how this one is done actually. This is, let's go into edit page here. Okay, so again, this is kind of the same way I built the first one, so I won't dwell too much on this because you've already seen how we did it. Let's just select the column block here. But you can see we've just got 3 columns. And then within each block, we've added the cover block as the next level. Let's look at the hierarchy actually. We've got a cover block. And then to add some space at the top here, I've got a spacer block. And then I've just got a paragraph. This is a paragraph that I've made italic. And then I've just put a paragraph underneath, another block, paragraph block underneath there, which is this one. And all I've done is made that bold. And then I've added an image. So when you first add an image, let me show you this. So these images aren't particularly well sized, but when you add an image, it will probably look like this to start with. But you've got some, if I click on it, you've got some stars over here on the right. So the default will probably be square when you first add it. But there is this option for rounded. And again, you can just drag them to the right size. Or over here on the right, you can see the width and the height. So you can either do it visually or you can do it, if you want to be more precise, you can do it manually. Now, the other thing I've got on this page, let's just go back here. I've got 2 more styles really. I've got this one. This is actually a plugin, which is one of the most popular block-based plugins you can get. Let me just show you which one I used. So we use this one here, Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. I think it's got about 200,000 downloads at the moment, so it's really popular. It's got some really nice stuff in it. The one I'm showing you today is this testimonials, this moving testimonials here. I'm going to just show you that. You'll see, let me just add it again actually, so you can see how easy it is. It just, when you install the plugin, go right to the bottom. It just adds itself in the panel here. You get this new panel that says Ultimate Add-ons blocks. And these are all the blocks they've got. There's some good stuff. And then one of their blocks is, if I can find it, is this testimonial block here. You just add it in, and by default, it'll look like this. Don't use these arrows because they don't work. To actually edit these, you just click on them like this. And then to get to the next one, you click on the little dots here and edit away. Okay, and again, over on the right here, you've got some nice customization options that you can change the style of it. So if you want one of those, that's quite nice. And then the other thing on this page that I've added is kind of a simpler way to do it, just this down here. And actually all I've done for this one, because often with these sort of stars you're creating, you don't always need a plugin to do it. You can just do it with the core blocks that come with the editor. Like if this is enough for you, then that's fine. And all this is done is built with the column block. So I've added the column block in here. And then within each of these, all I've got, let me show you, all I've got is a column and then 2 paragraphs. And all I've done is give the background, give the paragraph a background color, like so. This is just core Gutenberg, no plugins. Oh, that's the text color. You get the idea? So you don't always need a plugin to do this stuff. You can sometimes you can just do it with the core blocks, which obviously the less plugins you have, the less technical overhead on your site. These are all mobile friendly. So if I squish this, you'll see how they stack, like so. So you don't have to worry about that. The blocks just handle that stuff for you. Okay, right, next one is actually, let's go here next. Let's go media and text. So this is quite a nice effect that you can get on your sites. Again, we've got a grid layout. Let me just go behind the scenes to show you this one. This is the media and text block, which is why I've called it media and text. So there's a block that you get with Gutenberg called media and text. It's a core block, so it's not a plugin. It's this one here, just media and text. And it's getting more and more powerful all the time. You just add it, and you'll start like this. And then you just choose a photo from your library. And then this is where you put your content. Now your content, I don't want to do that. Your content will start big. Like you'll see if I type in here. Oh, it hasn't actually because I deleted it. But normally it will start quite big. So just when that happens, it'll probably start like this. The text will be huge. So you can change it here, just change it to default, something like that. Now to get this background, all you do is select the top level media and text block here. And then over here on the right, you just change the background, like so. And you've got this little draggy thing here, so you can actually change the proportions if you want to. Then all I did for this one, you can probably guess I added a heading. Well, first of all, I changed the color settings of that text. And then I added a heading above it. Now, sometimes when you're working in the editor, well, I do actually, but sometimes you won't see this plus button above. You'll probably find this in your life working with the editor. Now I see it, so it's fine. If you ever don't see it, my recommendation is all you do is add it below first, which might sound a bit counterintuitive. So add the heading below, and then just move it up. Okay, you'll find probably in your Gutenberg life that will happen to you at some point. So that's just a sort of workaround. And then underneath this, you can guess we just added a button, which I won't do. And that's how you get this effect. This block is really handy though, because you can also switch it around here, just like this. So if you want to change the aspect, you can do it very easily. What you see here won't always be what you get. You see how it's actually looking perfect when I publish it. There's no spaces, so that looks pretty cool. But when you see it in Gutenberg, you'll see how this sort of line up here. So that will be fixed for you once you publish it. And again, just to work quickly, what you could do, just select it and then duplicate it, switch it around, and then just replace the photo, like so. And then again, you could change the background color here. So duplicating is often a very quick way that you can work quickly with the editor. Okay, and you can get this really nice grid effect. Cool. Okay, right, next up is CSS. I'll just get a view back. Okay, yeah, CSS. So just to show you quickly, so one of the nice things about the blocks is that you can add CSS to them easily. So we're sort of getting into code a little bit here, but I just want to show you how I did some of these things. So you see this crazy neon text. So if I go edit page. So within every block, there is a special place where you can actually add CSS, which I'll show you quickly here. So, and it's found in advanced. Okay, so I'm not going to dive too much into CSS today, but if you know a little bit, you'll understand this. Sorry if you don't, but you can go and look it up afterwards, but it's pretty easy to use. So that's where you add your CSS class. Okay, you just add it in for each block. So if I click on this button block, you'll see that's got another class here. Okay, so you just give it a name there. And then all you do, you add your CSS in customize. And in the customizer here, there's an option for additional CSS. This is where you add it. Now, don't be too scared by this. There's my let's go neon text actually, which is one of these. Now let's do the drop shadow, which is that one, which is this nice drop shadow effect. Now, all you do is put this little dot, which is the class, and then the name of the class afterwards. And to generate this code, there are websites you can go and generate the code. Okay, so let's say you want to do this nice sort of box shadow around your images. There is actually a website called Box Shadow Generator. So just Google Box Shadow Generator. You can come to this website and you can change, the style of the shadow you want, and it shows you a preview over here on the right. Here's a preview. And then it will actually generate that code for you just here. And you just dump that code in here, and by some miracle, you get these nice effects on your stuff. So if you want to tweak a bit, you're going to have a lot of fun with that one. And that's how I did this crazy neon text one as well. So that's CSS. That's how you add CSS. Every block you add into your pages, you can add CSS into if you want to for tweaking. The next one is this one. This is anchors. This is really cute. So I'm using this more and more at the moment, purely because it's easy to do in the new block editor, where you have this kind of table of contents effect at the top here. And when somebody clicks on one of these, it takes them down to the right spot. You can also use this if you ever wanted to build a one-page website with Gutenberg. Okay, so here's an example of a site that's been built with just Gutenberg. And it's using the same techniques but instead of within the page, we've actually added them to the menus at the top here. So when they click on these menu items, see how you get this lovely smooth scrolling effect down to the right place within the page. It's really, really easy to do now with Gutenberg as well. Let me show you how I did it. So then we'll start a new page, I think. So a new page. Let's call it anchors. And to start with, I'm just going to, I need some text. I'm just going to dump a whole load of text into this page. So it's a very long page. Now, when you create a heading, because we're talking about headings here, you have the option, let me add a heading. This is where you add your anchor. So let's call this rugby. So that block, can you see over here on the right in advanced, there is this option here that says HTML anchor. So that's what we're going to link to when we link to this area within our page, is the HTML anchor. Now you can do this with code, but this just makes it really easy. So now you can call this what you want, but I'm just for simple sake today, I'm going to call it rugby. And then let me just add some more text underneath rugby. So we're creating basically a really long scrolling page of stuff. And then down here, I'm going to add another one. Let's add another heading, and let's add football. And again, I'm going to give this the anchor of football. And then further on down here, I'm going to add some more stuff. Okay, so that's added my anchors, and then all I have to do is create the links that link to those anchors, and that's pretty easy to do. So I'm going to do this at the top here. Let's do rugby. And all you do is you highlight it, create it as a link, and then the secret is you put hash, and then the name of the anchor, just like so. That's how you do it. And then link it. And let's put another one underneath. Do football. Do football. The name of the link has to be the same as the name of the anchor. Okay, now I would probably put these in a nice box and call them a table of contents or something. But you'll see when I click on football now, see how it just scrolls nicely down to the right place within the page. It can be really helpful if you're if you want to create a TOC or something like that at the top of your pages. And it's really easy to do now in Gutenberg. You can just create them as anchors and then link to them. So it's kind of cool. Can you see, well, actually one more thing to show you here. This is actually this smooth scrolling effect that I'm getting on my site. You wouldn't normally get, normally it would just jump really quickly, sort of staccato jump down. I'm using a really nice plugin, which I've used on a few sites to create that nice smooth scroll. And it's this one here. It's called Page Scroll to ID. That's what it's called, Page Scroll to ID. So it's a free plugin, and it just creates that nice smooth scrolling effect when somebody clicks on the link. Without it, it's a bit jumpy, and that just creates that nice smooth scroll. And it's got settings in where you can change the speed and some other whizzy stuff as well. So it's a nice plugin. Interestingly as well, I only found out this morning, it actually has now its own, if you do want to use that plugin, it actually has its own block. Page Scroll to ID target. So if you don't want to do it in a heading, you can actually create the targets within your pages now as well. Okay, so it's kind of neat. So that's anchors, they're fun. Hopefully they'll help you. The next one we've got is grids. So this is more complex. So if you really want to go to town on grids, then I'm going to show you how you can do something like this. I'll show you how I built this. And then I'll also show you, so one of the nice things about this is mobile controls. So this is using a plugin we built called Gutenberg, which again is free. And it lets you create some really whizzy layouts like this one. But the other thing that you can do is you can control what happens on mobile. So as I reduce my screen size here, you get to a certain size. Can you see how this first image now spans the two images beneath it? Okay, now that hasn't happened by accident. I've set that, and I'll show you where I set that in a minute. But if I go even smaller, you see how it now just stacks. So you can have 3 breakpoints with this layout. This is a tablet. This is like a mobile phone, and then if I go even more, that's sort of the normal desktop view. Let me show you how I built this. So this is it in Gutenberg. And then all I did on this one, this was quite complex. So let me show you how I did this from the start. Let's just add some space up here. So this is a plugin, as I said, called Caxton, which is, again, a series of blocks. And then kind of the most powerful block we've got is this layout block here. And then you've got all these different layouts that you can add within your pages. So some simple ones like this one, but we get kind of more complex as we go down the page. And then all you do, I'll do a simple one. Let's do that one. Okay, so you add the layout you want. And you'll see when I click on the hierarchy here that it contains, the top level contains all these different sections. So each of these mini blocks is a section within the overall layout, basically. And then you just go into each one. So if you click in each one, you'll see within each one, you've got further settings over here on the right. So I'll just do this one and maybe one other. So you can set the background image. Do the tree. You see the background image. And you could add your text in here. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. Let's go and grab some text. Okay. Now the other thing that you might want to do on this is add spacer blocks beneath and above it, which I'll do quickly. So I'm just going to add some space, a spacer block underneath, and I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to add that above it as well. And then I'll change the color settings of the text. Now the other thing that you can do within each block is you can change the layout over here. So you can add padding to each section. That's within each section. So let me just add 5 to each one. And can you see how it's just giving the text more room to breathe here? Let's go and check it out. So this is my first block. And then you just repeat the process for each block. So the other thing I should say as well, within each section, you can also add an overlay color if you want to. So let's say you want your text to pop a bit more. You can add these nice subtle overlay colors so the text doesn't get hidden. And again, if I wanted to, I could add further blocks within this block. I could add button blocks or anything I liked. And then you just carry on filling out all these blocks. I'll just do one more very quickly. Let's just do this as a color. Let's add a background actually. And in fact, what I'll do is just add a spacer block in this one. Now the spacer block, don't worry, you won't actually see this one once it's published. And again, over here on the right, you can actually set the pixel height of that space. Cool, you see we're kind of building the grid as we go. The other thing I wanted to show you on this one is the ability to change the grid gaps. So at the moment, we've got this little gap, which you might want. In fact, this second grid, you see how it doesn't have any gaps. But if you want to change that, let's do this. Let's do. Gone completely blank where it is. You can see you've got this, again, I wasn't at the right level there, so use these little 3 lines to make sure you're at the top level. And then you've got this column gap here where you've got some different changes, different options, whether you want it normal gap, or none as I had before. So I've just added a little gap into that one, which you might want. And then the final thing to show you on this is this option for mobile. So let's choose the top level. So we've got this option at the top level for the layout block for this responsive layout. So this is where you can set different layouts for mobile and for tablet. So hopefully this sort of makes sense. These will change depending on the number of blocks you've added into your layout. So you can, and you just click on them. So you can see the layouts, that options, you can make them all stack. Yeah. Or you can see on tablet, I want this. So on tablet, the first image here is going to span over these next 2. And let's do that for all of them. And you'll see, let's do this, as I go smaller, this first image should then span across. There we go. See how that first image is now spanning across these 2 beneath it. So you've got loads of controls in terms of what's happening on mobile. Okay, just a few, we're running out of time, a few more things to show you. The next one is shapes. So you can create some really beautiful shapes within your pages, like this example here. I particularly like these. And again, this is all using blocks. This is using Caxton, our free plugin again. Let me just quickly show you how I built this. So let's just chuck some text in here at the top, and then underneath I'm going to start with my first shape. So again, it's a block. I'm going to go down to Caxton, and we're going to look for the shape divider. That's the one we're interested in. Okay, so you just click on it, and that's going to add it in. Now you won't see anything to start with, but you'll see all the options over here on the right where you can change the color. Now we've got these different shapes that you can add into here. We've got 5 at the moment. Clouds, which is the first one, then book, and then waves, which is my favorite, and then pyramids, and then tilt. Okay, so I'm going to do waves. You can also flip them, like so, and you can make them full width. So let me just publish this so we can see where we're at. See how we've got this shape right the way across the page. Now to get the next section right, what we're going to actually do is add, this is kind of the trick on this, is we're going to add another layout block, because the layout blocks within Caxton let you stretch them across the full width of the page. Okay, so you could choose any of these layouts, but I'm just going to choose the single layout here. And let me just chuck some text in here. And what we're after here, if I click on the block itself, is I want to set the background. I'm going to set it to the same color. And I'm going to set the layout here to full width background. And that means it's going to be the full width of the page. Let me just add, in fact, let me just add some space underneath here. See that? So you get these really nice page transitions. And if I wanted to add other blocks within this, I can add any other kind of blocks in here I want to, you know, so if I wanted to add a gallery block within that section, that's absolutely fine as well. Like so. the key ones really are the ability to create this full width section underneath this shape. Okay, and then again at the bottom here, if I wanted to add a shape to finish it off, at the moment it's just going to finish with this horizontal line, which might be fine, but you could add another shape divider block at the bottom, change the color and flip it and make it full width. So I'm going to have some crazy clouds at the bottom. Get the idea? And then I could put text in here or text under here. So it's quite whizzy. The other thing that you can do with the shape divider block, which I really love, is the ability to place it over previous blocks, which can be really useful. So let me just flip this one. Okay, and then I'm going to put a photo in here. I'm just going to put an image block. Choose a photo. And then what I'm going to do with the shape divider block, I'm going to position it here over the next block. And I'm going to change the color to white. Now we won't see it here, you won't see it until you've published it, but we should have a nice wave effect now. You see how we've got this nice wave effect over this image, which can be really elegant. Now again, I could have changed that image block to be a cover block if I wanted to. Let me just get rid of it here. Change it to cover. I'll choose the same photo, but the nice thing about the cover block is we can write text over it, and we can also make it a fixed background. See how it's now fixed behind it. So you can create some really whizzy stuff. And again, that could be full width if you wanted it to be. Right, so the other thing to say is you can also, as this example shows here, is you can add shapes over the previous block. So when you create your shape, let's add another shape divider. You have this option here to position it over the previous block. I might need to flip this one. Let's just change the color so we can see what we're doing. Let's not flip it. So this one now is going to appear cut in to this one here. And let me just change the color to white. Otherwise it's going to look orange. See that? Looks like somebody's eaten my photo, but you get the idea, hopefully. Okay. So that's shapes. And then we've just got a few more to show you. This is blog here. Let me just show you how I built this. So all we've got here, essentially, let's go to the hierarchy again, is it's a column block, which is my main container block. And then within this column, I've just got a heading and some paragraphs, simple as that. And then within this column, I've just got an image. And then I've added this blue background color. Let's get the right level. This blue background color to the whole section, okay? Which has created that first section. And under here, I've actually got, this is using Caxton again. Within Caxton, we have a block, which is called the post grid block, this one here. And that just lets you load your posts in to that space. You can choose these by category. This site doesn't have any categories, but you can filter these by category. And then you can do other whizzy stuff, like you can increase the text size here. See how the text size grows. You can decide to show the date, have the border on it, just have the site title underneath, have an excerpt, that kind of stuff. And you can also change the shape. So you've got these different shapes that you can set it. Okay, there is actually coming in the next version of WordPress, there is a core block, which they've already got, but it's just not at the moment in the current version. It's not particularly powerful, but it's going to get better, and it's called, I think it's called latest posts, which is this one. So this is a core block. Now, at the moment, it doesn't look very exciting, but you've got these settings over here on the right, where you can start to make it a bit more interesting. Okay, and that's a core one. You don't need any plugins for that, but it doesn't look that beautiful at the moment. Let's try that. We're getting there. And then you can change over here on the right, image dimensions and the number of words in the excerpt and some other stuff. So that's if you want to really have a bit more control over your blog page or your post page. And then finally, two more to show you very, very quickly because we're running out of time. This page is actually using two plugins, which I really like, or the same plugin twice. So this nice photo carousel. This is a plugin that has I've installed on this site, which again is a free plugin. It's called Block Gallery. It's this one here, Block Gallery. It's a free plugin. It's actually now part of a plugin called CodeBlocks, which GoDaddy bought last year. But it's really nice. It's got, if you just want a gallery, it's a nice plugin to use. Let me just show you down here. So you just click on the plus sign, and when you install the plugin, you'll get this new panel here that says Block Gallery. And within there, you've got these three options. Carousel, which is those moving photos, or masonry. And you literally just choose your photos. And it will create you a nice gallery. And again, over here on the right, you've got some options where you can do things like round the corners. See how the corners are rounded over here on the right. And you've got some customization options. And this top one here, this is just a carousel one. Okay. So that's a nice way to lay out photos. And then the final one I'm going to just give you a sneak preview of. This is the one I kind of showed you a bit last week, I think, but I just want to show you quickly. So this is a plugin that we're in the process of building at the moment. And it lets you do these really complex things with grid overlays. Well, it's one way you can use it. Let me just show you the back end here. So what we're working on is the ability that you can actually drag these blocks around like this, which is really complex, as you can imagine. But hopefully you can sort of see some of the possibilities once we crack this properly. You'll be able to drag these within blocks or around blocks to create some really whizzy layouts like that. Okay, so I'll keep you posted on that one, but it's quite exciting because it kind of breaks out of what normal blocks can do. Still need a good name for it if anyone's got good at naming things. Right, so that's hopefully giving you some inspiration of the types of things you can do. I just want to finish up quickly with 3 tools that you might want to use when you're discovering blocks. The first one is this, which some of you probably already know about. This is called WP Theme Detector. This is a website that's really useful. If you ever see a website and you want to know how it's been built, it'll tell you what plugins that site has used. And it will also tell you what theme that site is using. So if you see something useful on a website, you can go to this website. And again, it's free. You just pop in the website you want to interrogate, and it will trundle off and it will tell you how they built it. So it will tell you the plugins and it will tell you the theme. So it's really, really useful. This next one is really cool. So this is a way that you can go to a website and you can find out what blocks that particular page has been built with. It's a free Chrome extension. It's a free Chrome extension. And when you add it to your, so you, I'll obviously send the slides around, but it's called Detective Wapoo. You just add it to Chrome through extensions. If you've never done that before, don't worry, it's very simple to do. And then it just appears up here. Can you see up here in the address bar here? And then when you go to a website, so let me go to, let's go here. Let's go to one of my pages. Might be a good one. And you just click on it. And can you see it tells you kind of how they built it? See how it's highlighting most, not all, but most of the blocks on the page, actually not all of them. But it will give you a good idea of how somebody's built that particular page. So I find it really, really helpful. If you see a really nice page and you want to know how they built it, you just click on that little icon and it'll tell you some of the, how they did it. So hopefully that'll help you. And then this other one, which I've only just discovered a few weeks ago, but it's really cool. This is called Find My Blocks. It's a free plugin. And what it does, it tells you what blocks a website is using. You have to be the site owner to use it because it's a plugin. I've got it installed on one of my sites just so I can show you. So let's go here. But it can be useful, especially as there's so many blocks out there, and you'll probably come across sites if you're ever managing sites or customers or clients to find out actually what blocks they're using and do they need them. Oh, it's not. There we go. Yeah, so this website's already got it installed on it. It'll show you all the blocks down here on the left. And then if you click on these, it'll actually tell you where those blocks are being used on your site. So I think it's really cool. It's a really nice, useful plugin. So if you can just go and see what pages each block is being used on. So hopefully that'll be really useful. Brilliant. That is the end of the presentation. Thank you, everyone. There's tons and tons of questions. So what I'm going to do, there's too many. What I'm going to do, I'm going to package these up, if that's okay with you all, because we kind of run out. I've gone over time. I'm going to package up all the questions. And I'm going to do a special Q&A webinar, not next week, but the week after. Is that okay for you all? And then then we can ask more questions as well. Brilliant. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. I'll send all the slides out to video later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
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 Thank you.